Greetings, fellow visitors. This is Upgrade Terminal, a Monolith Fancast. I'm Malachi.
And I'm Nick. Welcome back to the facility.
So this is our first episode, and for those of you who don't know us, we're just going to introduce ourselves really quickly. Nick, you want to go first?
Sure. So, my name is Nick. I have been playing Monolith since 2017, so I'm an early player. I mostly started having a role in the community by being a speedrunner and later becoming administrator of the speedrunning board. I used to do quite a bit of streams and videos about the game. I've I am the founder, administrator, and a runner in Monorail, which is the Monolith Racing League that is organized occasionally. I am also part of the first generation of beta testers, going all the way back to the release of the Relics of the Past expansion DLC. I have done some contributions to the wiki, and I am one of those rare Monolith fanfic writers.
Yes.
And
We were talking about that yesterday. I think that's one of the things that kind of ended up with us becoming friends. We're both Monolith fanfic writers.
mhm, that's true. But why don't you introduce yourself to the audience, Malachi?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Malachi. I go by Echo Far online. I've streamed quite a bit of Monolith, and I've written a lot of Monolith poetry, some songs. I'm the organizer of the, some would say, failed Monolith poetry contest. Maybe I'll do another one of those someday. And I like coffee a lot, like Noel.
Mhm.
And I like the outdoors and video games. Two hobbies that don't always go well together, but I like them all the same.
I should say that Malachi also organized a Halloween fanfic thing some years ago, which did inspire me to add two more new things. So I would consider that as part of your, shall we say, Monolith resume.
Thank you. Yes, I have not gone back and watched that because I I don't know if I could bring myself to do it. I made a paper mache crawler thing that I was wearing on my head, and yeah, I don't know. I had fun. But yes,
Yeah.
Nick contributed some writing to that. It was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
So, I mean, both Nick and I were huge fans of Monolith, and we both, like we were saying yesterday, Nick, there are all these tiny little threads of fate that led us to play this game, to meet each other, and now to start this podcast. What was your path? How did you come to find the game?
So I have a friend called that goes by Paper Lore, who uh, used to be a streamer. Nowadays, not so much for reasons. But one of the games that they picked up was Monolith, and this
Mm-hmm.
was very shortly after the game had been released, like June 2017. Like, I should point out, the game Monolith was officially released on the 7th of June 2017. And I believe that very month, my friend Laura was streaming it. I am not entirely sure how they found it. I
Mm-hmm.
just know that I found it because they started streaming it as just something they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seemed really interesting to me. Like, I liked roguelikes quite a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't played quite as many then, but I knew I liked them. I'm like, this seems really interesting. This seems really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think within a week or so of watching them play it, I'm like, I'm just gonna go get it myself and just dive right in. And the more I played, the more I fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, I decided I wanted to be a part of the community, and then I joined the still pretty new Discord server that they had. And well, all the rest might be a story for another time.
Yeah.
So how did you find this game, Malachi?
I am a huge fan of the game Downwell by Ojiro Fumoto. Actually, I'm sitting at my computer now. If I look up on my wall, I've got a bunch of Downwell art I've commissioned and the collector's edition hanging on the wall and the vinyl soundtrack, and so I'm a huge Downwell fan. I followed the developer Moppin's Twitter, and actually he tweeted about it one day. I saw that tweet and I was like, oh, this is really neat. Same kind of thing as you. I looked at the Steam page, and I mean, one of my favorite developers praised the game as being awesome. Later on, Derek Yu, the creator of Spelunky, also tweeted about it, I think in response to Moppin, and was like, yes, this is an amazing game. So I had stars in my eyes. I was like, I got to play this. Um, the only problem was I didn't have a PC, and so I had no way to play it. And so I started just combing through uh, Twitch for any streams I could find. And there weren't very many people streaming the game, but one streamer I found was Squega, and Squega had really, really
Mm-hmm.
fun streams, a really nice community, and so I started hanging out there all the time. At the time, I was also living alone, and I was really busy, so I'd get home at night, and as I was making dinner and just chilling, I'd throw on Squega stream, watch him destroy monolith bosses, and just was counting down the days until I could get it. And I then I got really sick because I'm very allergic to Timothy Hay, and I also
Huh.
my job brings me into the proximity of Timothy Hay almost on a daily basis. So I didn't know that I had that
Ah.
allergy for a long time though, and so I thought I was just sick, and I was so sick that I'd get home and I was exhausted, and I was so grateful whenever someone was streaming Monolith, because I would just get home, take a shower, lay down on my bed, and just watch this Monolith stream, and it was so comforting. I loved it, and so Monolith kind of brought me through that dark time in my life, and I finally, uh, well, first of all, I figured out I had that allergy, and I got on medication, so I'm not dealing with that anymore. Yes,
That's good.
but I also saved up some money, and I bought a PC specifically to be able to play Monolith, and I did, and I don't have quite as many hours in it as you do yet, but I have put a significant chunk of my life into this game, and I love it dearly. So at this point, dear listener, you may be wondering, why are Nick and I making this podcast? What are your thoughts, Nick?
Well, there's a there's a bunch of reasons. Primarily, I just really love the game Monolith. I really do. It's one of my favorite games of all time. This podcast serves in part as a way for me to gush about it, to express that admiration and passion.
Oh, we're both going to be gushing.
Absolutely. And I should give some context that when, at the time now that we are making this podcast, Monolith is kind of going through this long, prolonged drought where there's not much happening. There's not a lot of updates or releases or news or even really
Yeah,
content.
there's no teasers even. The devs
No.
were posting teasers for a while, but now they have ceased to tease us.
Yeah, development has slowed down. And Malachi and I, we were both clearly yearning to do some kind of project together, to work on something. And this felt like the best option for us to do something, to create some content
Mm-hmm.
in the midst of this drought. It can hopefully give the community just something to like talk about or focus on.
Yeah.
And I should say, both Malik and I, due to our dispositions, shall we say, we kind of want to talk about Monolith in a particular way that might be a bit uncommon or atypical from other communities or other people. And we wanted to have a space where the both of us could have an interesting and stimulating dialogue in the way that we want to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And partly because Malachi is a good friend of mine, I just want to hang out with him. This is a wonderful excuse to do so.
Oh, thanks, Nick. I feel the
Yeah.
same way. So yeah, I would echo everything Nick said. Like, yeah, we love this game, and we want to talk about it, and we want to hopefully do something that can bring contribute to the community, and we can also bring people from the community in and to contribute as well. And I love the Monolith community. I came in, I think in 2018, or maybe it was late 2017. But
I'm thinking it's probably more like 2019 based on some preliminary research we did the other
oh, that's
night.
true. That's true. Okay, yeah. So in any case, I'm late to the game, pun intended, and I I think it's great to create a venue to talk to other fans, and I also have a desire, like Nick said, for more content around the game, and I've always had this quest to get the game to more people. Um, all my friends on Steam will know that, and I really, in whatever small way I can, I want to continue to try to share this game and what I love about it. So yeah, I'm really excited to be doing this with you, Nick.
Hmm. Yeah, hopefully we'll have a great time just getting together talking about stuff. Speaking of,
Hmm.
um, we have some aspirations as to things we'd like to do with this podcast and things we'd like to achieve.
Yes, we have many ideas.
Some of the things that we hope to feature in future episodes are things like, for instance, in-depth discussions on monolith lore. I know Malachi in particular is really looking forward to this bit. Just
Oh yes,
that's his thing.
yes, I love the lore of Monolith. I think about it
Mhm.
all the time. I was out hiking today, and while I was hiking, I was thinking about Monolith lore. I really do love it. Um, we
Mhm.
also plan to interview fellow Monolith lovers, maybe even the developers at some point if we can convince them to talk to us.
Fingers crossed. Sometimes we'll just be showcasing some original fan writing, whether that would be fan fiction or poetry, anything of the sort. I feel like uh, things like fan art are already pretty visible and sort of well documented and shared. And
They don't work well on the in the podcast medium either. We just have to describe them.
that's that's true. But I think personally, I believe that fan writing, especially for Monolith, could use a bit of a boost, a bit more publicity, as it were.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we both tried to spur that onward. So yeah, any writers out there that like the game Monolith, please put your
Hmm.
pen to paper and and write something about it. Send it to us.
Mm.
We'll also take time. We don't just play Monolith, and Nick and I love video games. We both like music, so part of the podcast will also share other games we've been playing and music we've been listening to, and just culture that we've been enjoying.
I should point out, however, that as much as Malik and I will be sharing what music we're listening to, what games we're playing, you might be surprised that maybe they're quite different because it's interesting to see like we have monolith as this obvious overlap in our
Hmm.
interests, like we both clearly love this, but it's also kind of fascinating to see in what other ways we're kind of very different.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like we've shared we've shared our music interests with each other, just songs, and it's quite telling, you know. And I think it's quite telling that we're different, and I think that might be at least I hope that is part of the appeal of the show, just the contrast and the back and forth between the both of us.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I mean, we do have a like the Venn diagram of Malachi and Nick. The biggest overlap is Monolith, but besides that,
Hmm.
we're quite different. So yeah, hopefully
Hmm.
that'll bring an interesting spin and balance to the show. If you have any comments about the show or any ideas, you can reach out to us on our Discord server. We'll post the server link in the show description.
There you'll find fellow pilots to talk with and discuss the show. Thanks for listening. We'll hope you'll join us next time.
This is what you came for, isn't it?
So be it.